So I mentioned that economists talk a lot about market failure. And one of the common ways that markets fail is if a person making a choice is not the person who gets all the costs or benefits. It's called an externality. It might sound odd, but it's quite common. In many cases, there's no externality, no difference. I choose to buy some coffee and I drink it. But there are plenty of choices that people make where costs and benefits go to other people. Pollution is a common one. Somebody chooses to smoke, and the folks around them breathe in that smoke. They would like to breathe clean air, but somebody else made a choice for themselves. Externalities could be seen as cases of imperfect property rights. If my decision to consume some item has an impact on somebody else, who owns that spillover effect? This can be particularly acute in trying to resolve intertemporal or intergenerational spillover. What if my decisions affect people who will not even be born till the next century? Now, not all externalities are bad, not all are pollution. Some could be positive. Education has significant positive externalities. When one person gets more education, the people around them, the family, co-workers, all get richer too. That goes over generations. Externalities could be in production or consumption. A flower farm might impose positive externalities. Or more commonly, a beehive kept by someone who wants honey will have positive externality because the bees will pollinate other flowers, fruits, vegetables. Now, there can be positive or negative externalities. These externalities can be in production or consumption. And, certainly carbon dioxide is one of the more common externalities that we're going to be talking about. Now, the economist Ken Arrow, he's also a CCNY alum for those keeping score, he wrote, "Externality is a situation in which a private economy lacks sufficient incentives to create a potential market in some good, and the non-existence of this market results in a loss of efficiency." Every word there is essential. Lacks sufficient incentives makes clear it's not necessarily technologies, but also organizations. Potential markets notes that even a possible market can have effects. There are threats of entry, or there are calls and puts. And the final phrase makes clear that not every market failure is insoluble or requires government action. But the basic idea is clear enough. If some action is polluting, then a tax, which makes people do less of something, can be helpful. We can think of the tax as putting a price on that action. If it's the correct price, then we can make real progress. New toll on cars driving in central Manhattan is an example of that. More drivers, in a sense, are polluting the roads and causing congestion. Driving doesn't have the correct price. So the city is moving to put a price on that. It's also why a lot of economists support a tax on gasoline. But the opposite case also holds. If there are positive externalities, then people might not do enough of those because they don't account for all the benefits. That's part of the rationale for government subsidies or education. Look around. We're in an institution of public education, one of the very earliest. Or why governments will often subsidize research and development, R&D, particularly in things like solar panels or vaccines. So a problem with providing public goods is everybody tends to wait around for somebody else to do the hard work. The idea is the problem impacts somebody else, and that person might not do the hard work. And I can just take the externalities, get the benefits without the cost. For example, the global campaign to restrict carbon dioxide emissions suffers from this free rider problem. Every country kind of wants other countries to take all the pain. Now, economists generally distinguish goods as either excludable or non-excludable, and either rival or non-rival, in any combination. Excludable goods means technology exists to keep other people from using my stuff. Kids fight in order to make their toys excludable. Or there's a massive laws against theft and robbery that help me keep my stuff excludable. Non-excludable is the opposite. I can't keep people from using it. Perhaps architecturally lovely building that every passerby can enjoy. Or the neighbor without curtains. Intellectual property law, DRM, Copyright law and others exist to try to make certain goods excludable. Rival means somebody else's consumption of the good interferes with my own. If somebody else eats my cookie, then I can't eat that cookie. Cookies are certainly rival. Non-rival is the opposite. Things like a good idea. Now, sometimes those distinctions are a bit arbitrary. Parents don't understand why the kids can't just share the toys. If you're not playing with it now, why is it a problem if the other kid plays with it now? But, many people would consider their jewelry rival, even though the same argument could apply. But nobody really just rents jewelry for a night out. Bling is only considered valuable if it's yours. There are private parks like Gramercy. Some rivalry is simply that people want a certain exclusivity. Economists label goods that are non-rival and non-excludable to be pure public goods, often goods provided by governments. Police and fire protection are difficult to exclude because of externalities, and given the infrequency of occurrences, are basically non-rival. Now, there are private security guards, but not as common as police. National defense is non-excludable and non-rival. But there are also cases where private citizens join together and voluntarily restrict their own choices. Buying a co-op or a condo means you agree to be bound by the decisions of a managing board, exactly in order to keep other people from imposing externalities on you. If one person doesn't maintain their unit, then the board has a legal basis to force the owner to make improvements. Business improvement districts in cities might have some of this characteristic. Now, many of what seem like oddities of market come down to companies trying to figure out how to monetize their product, where the old-fashioned method of just pay a price doesn't work. We watch ads instead of paying money directly, although there may be different tiers where you can pay more and see fewer ads. So specifically regarding high-value crops such as coffee, olives, wine, externalities are common rationale for government intervention. We will discuss some of these later.